everyone, and welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, we are going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag today. I just feel like it's a really good way to kind of like check in, see where I'm at, let you know where I'm at, and kind of talk about some favorites, some books that were kind of a disappointment, some books I'm looking forward to, and I just really enjoy this tag, so I wanted to make sure to do it. I did want to get it out in June, and just time was not on my side, so it'll be out in July, and that's totally fine. It's still close to the half-year mark. But before I dive in, I just realized I never introduced myself. Hello, I'm Kat. Welcome to my channel if you're new. It's lovely to have you, and if you've already been here, hello and welcome back. With all that being said, we can just dive right in. I'm going to start with some reading stats just because I'm a sucker for reading stats. We're just going to go through this super quick. For my 2024 reading goal, I have it set to 65 books, and I've currently read 31 books. I am behind by 2 books, but that's totally fine. April and May were like, I've read 1 book each month, so I'm definitely like not on track, but I'm only 2 books behind, and I feel like I could definitely get to that, and if not, that's also not a big deal. My top 5 moods are emotional, reflective, dark, funny, and hopeful. I don't think I've ever gotten hopeful as like one of my top 5 moods, so that's a new one. The others I've definitely had. That's usually like my go-to. I think it's usually sad that I have in there, but we're switching things up. We're getting hopeful over here. For pace, I've read mostly medium pace books, 65%. For fast pace, I've read 29%. And then for slow, I've read, oh my god, my vision. Okay, 6%. I had to really, that's not great. So for fiction to nonfiction, I have read 71% fiction and 29% nonfiction. So that's not great. Okay, and then for my top genres, let's do the top 5. So top is literary, which makes sense, and then LGBTQIA+ is next. Then we have memoir, contemporary, and science fiction. I also see graphic novels. I've definitely read a lot more graphic novels this year. And then for format, I have actually been tracking if I'm reading like audio versus like an ebook versus a print book. So 52% of the books that I've read have been a physical book, 18% have been digital, so like on my Kindle, and then 32% have been audiobooks. My most read authors this year have been Benji Nate with 3 books, Jamaica Kincaid with 2, Becky Chambers with 2, and Emily Austin with 2. And I feel like that's it. Yeah, those are all the like stats I really look at. But now we can actually dive into the questions. Let's get this started. So the very first question is best book of 2024. And that was tough for me because I feel like I've actually been reading a lot of books that I've really, really loved or that have like impacted me in a really big way. But I'm going to list 3. For the first one that I want to talk about is Lucy by Jamaica Kincaid. This is my second Kincaid, and I love this so much. This is the book that I read. When did I read this? I want to say it was May, and it was the only book I read. It was so good. It took me a very long time to get through, but it wasn't because of this book. It was just couldn't find the time. I didn't have like a really good reading routine, so this one just took me a long time, but the writing I underlined like constantly. So good. So this one has to be on my list. I'm also not going to give synopsises because I feel like this video would just be like too long if I talked about every single book. This should be in an upcoming books that I've recently read. I think that'll probably be my next video, so I'll talk about it a bit more there. And then another book that has just like stayed with me and I feel like is just gonna be an all-time favorite is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman, and this was translated by Ross Schwartz. This one has just left such an impact on me. I feel like I still think about this and I still think about the main narrator. And this is definitely not like a light, fluffy read. Like it is very heavy, but I just thought that it was so impactful what she did with this one. And if I'm remembering correctly, there's no chapters in this, which normally is not my jam, but I feel like with this, it ended up working really, really well. And I just really loved my time with this. Still sticks with me. I still can like visualize parts of this book, and I think that it'll be like that for a very long time. So this one definitely had to be part of this list. And the next book I don't have a copy for because I listened to it on audio, but I would love to eventually get the physical copy, is Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino. This book was just, I don't know, it really like left an impact on me as well, and it affected me a lot more than I was actually expecting. I could see this book being a book that people either like don't really vibe with or like love and vibe with it so hard, but like I guess there could be people that fall in the middle, but I could totally see someone reading this and being like, I don't like this. But for me, it just worked really, really well, and I just wanted to include it as well. So those are the 3 that I'm listing for now. It was kind of hard to pick which 3 I wanted to talk about, but I'm picking those and I'm sticking with it. The next question is best sequel of 2024. I don't really read a lot of books that are part of like series, so I only had one, and I did really love this. So it was A Prayer for the Crowned Shy by Becky Chambers. It's part of the Monk and the Robot duology. This one I read like immediately right after this one, and I feel like that's honestly the best way to go. I don't think that there should be too much time in between. But yeah, I have to say A Prayer for the Crowned Shy. It's the only book that I've read in the series, and this is just like cozy fantasy. And is it cozy fantasy or cozy sci-fi? I don't know, but it was cozy. I read this at like the beginning of the year, and it was so good. I feel like that was like the perfect time to read it. So if you're looking for something comforting, maybe you need something easy on the brain, I suggest this one. It was very, very healing to read for sure. The next question is new releases you want to read, and I have kind of a giant list. I could not stop putting things together. But the first one that I have on this list is Ordinary Human Feelings by Nolan. I read Acts of Desperation very recently, and I loved it, and I really want to dive into this one. The next one is Catalina by Karla, Cornejo, Villavicencio, and I loved The Undocumented Americans so much, so when I saw that she came out with a novel, I was really, really hyped, and Kat gave me this copy, and she also read it, and really, really loved it, talked highly of it, so I'm really excited for this one. What's next? Okay, I have Martyr by Kaveh Akbar, and he's a poet, I believe, and this is like his very first novel, and I just feel like this is the book that everyone has been talking about, and I'm just really excited for it. It is like pretty big, kind of intimidating, but I'm just excited to see what this book is about. I have First Love by Lily Dancyger, and Kat talked about it in her video. She talked about it in her new releases video, and then she also recently read it and reviewed it, and it just sounds like so sweet and like something that I would really, really enjoy. And she sent me this copy, which feels even more special to get it sent from a friend, so I am very excited for this. The next one is a collection of short stories, and it's Mouth by Puloma, Ghosh. I very recently bought this, like literally yesterday, so I'm very excited for this. And some other books that I have listed here that I don't have copies of is The Fetishist by Katherine, Crooked Teeth by Danny Ramadan, I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. I do actually have an e-arc for it that I just haven't gotten to. And another book is Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. I just keep seeing people talk so highly of it, so I really want to get to it. Splinters by Leslie Jamison, and I think that's it. Those are the ones that I have on my list. There are definitely other books that have recently come out that I'm really excited for, but we'll just leave it at that. The next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And I feel like I'm kind of cheating with this one because if you're in the UK, this is already out. You can get your hands on it. But in the US, it's still not out. So I'm going to include it under this question. It's Private Rights by Julia Armfield. And I was thinking about doing like some books that I'm really excited for the second half of the year. So I'm not going to say any other books. I feel like that'll be like a fun video for me to put together. So you can keep your eyes peeled for that if you're curious on some other books that are coming out the second half of the year that I am really excited about. The next question is biggest disappointment, and I have to say, I feel so bad saying this, but it's Say It Again in a Nice Voice by Meg Mason. I read Sorrow and Bliss like 2 years ago, and I buddy read it with Seiki, and we were gonna buddy read this one as well. And we also buddy read her other book, which I can't remember what it's called right now. So this was gonna be the final book to complete reading all of the books that she's written, and I just did not like the writing from the very beginning, and I just had a feeling it was not gonna be for me. So I did end up DNFing, so I don't know that it's like the most fair to say it was a big disappointment because I didn't fully read it, but I just didn't really vibe with the writing. And I will say, when I read the description at the back, I was like, I guess part of it is me. Like, I don't know that I would be so interested in reading about this, but I thought because it was a memoir, I would find it really, really interesting because it is Meg Mason's memoir. And I don't know, I couldn't get into it. I DNF'd it. I talked to Seiki and she actually did finish reading it. I was kind of like, should I keep going? Should I power through? And she didn't really feel like it got that much better. I'm really bummed about it because I was excited to be able to have read all of her books, but yeah, I couldn't power through this one. Okay, the next question is the biggest surprise, and I'm going to say two. I will say Everything in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. That shocked me because I read it the first time and I didn't like it, and then I gave it a reread just to see how I would feel about it, and I listened to it fully on audio this time, and I loved the audiobook narrator so much. I really related to Gilda. I felt like a lot of the thoughts that she had, I've had, and I thought the humor in this was just like so good. The side characters were so funny to me, and I just like really enjoyed my time. So that was a little bit of a shock because I didn't love it the first time, although I had a feeling maybe if I reread it, I would love it, and I did. But another one is Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huan, and going into it, I think I just didn't really expect much. This one I thought was going to be, I don't know why, I just thought it was going to be like a book that I wouldn't love. I kind of thought that it would get like really gross and like body horror-y, and I mean, it wasn't like too much horror. Like, I feel like I could read it. There was definitely some parts that were like gross, and it worked so well for me. I really loved this book. I could not put it down. I also really loved reading about the relationship between the main narrator and her parents, and I don't think I was expecting that. So I think I have to say Natural Beauty as well. Like, that one definitely shocked me. Okay, so the next question is favorite new author, and I feel like I struggled with this one because I haven't read a bunch of books by like one specific author, so it's kind of hard for me to know for sure. But I will say for graphic novels, Benji Nate, I am a big fan of. I've read 3 of their graphic novels and have enjoyed all of them. I love their art style. I think I left off with talking about Benji Nate and how I just really love their art style. So I feel like for a graphic novel author and artist, I would have to say Benji Nate. And I will say that I've only read one book by Toni Morrison, but I reread Sula this year and just gave me like a new appreciation for her writing and her craft. So I feel like I really, really appreciate her, and I feel like I don't want to say favorite author yet because I haven't read her other books, but she is definitely one that I think I'll really love. And also Kincaid. I've read 2 books by her, but the first book that I read was like a collection of short stories, and I could tell that the writing was beautiful, but it literally like went right over my head. So reading Lucy, I was like, whoa, like it was very different. I could actually understand what I was reading, but the writing was just so good. So I also think that Kincaid could definitely be a favorite. That's my answer. I feel like it's just hard for me to tell. I haven't read enough books by one specific author that I've like loved everything, so not sure yet. And then the next question is newest fictional crush, which I don't think I had an answer for last year, and this year I feel like I also don't really have an answer for. You know, Miles from Funny Story was kind of cool. Maybe him, but like honestly that's just me like picking someone. I wouldn't say that I have like a big fat crush on Miles from Funny Story, but I did really like their dynamic, so like crushing on them being together, if that counts. But the next question is newest favorite character, and I have to say it's Lucy in Lucy by Jamaica Kincaid. I just loved being in her brain. I loved hearing her thought process and what she thought about certain situations and people. She is definitely my favorite. She was a standout. As soon as I was like reading Lucy, I was like, this character is gonna stick with me for a long time. So I have to say Lucy in Lucy by Jamaica Kincaid. And another character that I can think of is Adina in Beautyland. I love Adina so much. I could have read about her whole life forever and ever. I was rooting for her. I thought that she was such a sweet character and I related to her a lot. So I'll also pick Adina from Beautyland. And let's see. The next question is a book that made you cry. This one's so funny to me because I can't remember what I said last year. I don't remember if I answered this one or not last year. And it's typically because books don't often make me cry. I feel like when I'm reading a book, I'm not a big crier. When I'm watching a movie, I cry a lot. And just in general in life, I do cry a lot. But when it comes to books, for some reason, I don't typically cry. But so far this year, I've had like 3 books that have gotten me to cry, and it's Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino, Liliana's Invincible Summer by Cristina Rivera Garza, and Hereafter by Amy Lynn. So those 3 books had me crying at different points for different reasons. For Beautyland, it was more so towards the end of the book that I was crying. Liliana's Invincible Summer, I feel like the whole time I was just kind of like holding on to it, and then I would cry at certain parts. And then for Hereafter, I swear, like after like the first couple of pages, I was like already crying. I don't know if like my cold little reading heart is just like starting to melt, and maybe it's just like the topics that I'm reading about. Like I feel like grief will always get me, so I feel like if I read a book about grief, that'll affect me, because the other book I can think of that I sobbed was Crying in H Mart, and that covers grief, the loss of her mother. So I think anything that covers grief, it's gonna get to me. And then the next question is a book that made you happy, and I have 2, and I don't have one of them, but it's Catboy by Benji Nate. I read that when I was having the Sunday scaries, and it just like soothed me, and I loved like looking at the different outfits that they would wear in it, and it was just like such a cute book overall. But the next one is Magnolia Wu Unfolds It All by Chanel Miller, and I read Know My Name by Chanel Miller, her memoir, and that was like such a heavy read. And once I finished Know My Name by Chanel Miller, I can't remember if she talked about drawing or if it was like an interview I saw where she talked about how she like loved drawing, but after I was like, I can't wait to see what she does in the future, and if she does come out with a book, I will read it no matter what, whatever it is. And she did come out with a book, I think it's middle grade. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is middle grade, and this was just so sweet, and I read it all pretty much in one sitting. I think it was another day that I had the Sunday scaries, and I feel like this one also got me a little bit emotional once I finished it, because I was just like so happy for Chanel and so happy that she like brought this to life. But like the art, it's so cute, and there's art within different parts of the book. Like, oh my god, I wish I had this as a child growing up, and I'm just like so happy that other kids will have this now. But like, it was just so fun to read. I won't talk too much else about it because I'm going to talk about it in my wrap up, but this was so cute. It definitely like healed a part of my soul, and I wish I had it when I was younger. I feel like this would have been such an important read for me when I was younger, but as an adult, it definitely still healed something. So this one definitely made me so happy. I loved it. So happy for Chanel Miller. And big shout out to Seiki, because I don't always do like a great job at like keeping up with things, and I saw Seiki posting about it, and I was like, I'm gonna pick it up. And I did pick it up from a local bookstore that recently opened by me, Narrative, and I had to pick it up and support my local bookstore and also Chanel Miller's. So the next book is Most Beautiful Book You've Bought This Year, and I have 2. One I'm including because I just bought it yesterday and I talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's Mouth by Puloma Ghosh, and I mean, I love this cover. It is so cool. I love how simple it is with like the white, but then the 2 photos, the lips, and then the orange. Like, it looks so cool to me. But the second book that I bought this year that I think is just like such a cool and beautiful cover is Acts of Desperation by Megan Nolan. Like, look at this edition. It's got a butt, the black and the white with the yellow. I remember seeing this at the bookstore when I was with Kat in New York. Had to get it because I was in New York and with Kat, who loves Megan Nolan. But also, like, I could not say no to the cover. It's so cool and beautiful. I love it. So these 2 are probably like the most beautiful books that are currently on my shelves that I've bought this year. I've actually been doing really good with not buying that many books. I have too many books on my shelves right now, so I'm not like on a book buying ban necessarily, but I'm trying to be a lot stricter about what I actually buy and bring into the house because I don't have much space. Okay, what books do you need to read before the end of this year? And literally anything. Like, I have just piles of books on my floor at this point. Like, they don't even fit on my shelves. I have like these 3 piles. I have a pile over there. I have a pile or a few piles in my bedroom. Like, it's a little bit out of hand, and I want to be able to say that I've read a lot of the books that I own, and currently that is not the case. So literally, like, anything that is in my house, I will be happy to have read. But I do have 2 because I haven't been reading that much nonfiction. I've been reading a lot of memoirs, but I haven't been reading like any like historical or political nonfiction reads, so I want to change that. So I have Except for Palestine, The Limits of Progressive Politics by Mark Lamont Hill and Mitchell Plitnick. There was a time where me, Kat, and Ivana were gonna buddy read The 100 Years War on Palestine. It felt like there was a lot of info that like I didn't really have a lot of context to yet, and I remember Kat saying that she read Except for Palestine and that it helped kind of give a lot more context. So I think I'm going to start with this one because I do want to get to the 100 Years War on Palestine. So I feel like maybe starting with this one and then going to that one. And also, I've talked about this like a few times on my channel, but it's Say Nothing by Patrick Radden Keefe, and it's about the Troubles in Ireland. So I know nothing about the history. I also have like 2 other books that I want to read that I feel like I need the context for. That's Milkman and Trespasses. So I really want to read Say Nothing so that I can also tackle those. And I've just heard the greatest of things about Patrick Radden Keefe, so I want to get to it. So these are the 2 that I'm hoping to at least squeeze in before the end of the year, especially because I just haven't really read that much nonfiction that's like historical or political. So those are the 2. And then the last question, I don't think I answered this last year. I didn't even realize that it was a question. So this year I wanted to make sure to answer it because I think it's fun and we got to share the love on booktube, and I just want to shout out some other channels. This question is favorite book community members. So I have a list of people, and just a little note, I'm going to mainly shout out people that I haven't already talked about on my channel because I feel like there's people that I shout out all the time. You know them, you love them, and I kind of wanted to mention some other channels that maybe I haven't really talked about on my channel that I also really love to watch. But first up is Siska from And They Read. That's their channel name. She makes like little vlogs and reading vlogs. I just really love their vlogs. They're a lot like slower paced, and I just really enjoy them. They really soothe me. Another channel that I really love is Lucy from Lucy M. Briggs, and she does like monthly vlogs, which I think is so fun. We get to kind of like go and see what she got up to in the entire month. But also she's going to be starting a like gaming channel, and I'm like so excited for it. I'm excited for the cozy games, and I can't wait for her to start doing that. She just seems like the sweetest human, and I love her content. Next up is Mali. She has like reading vlogs, and she also I think has started doing like reading wrap-ups as well, but she also has like some travel vlogs, and I just love her content. She does a really good job at balancing like lifestyle with books. I just love seeing what she gets up to, the different coffee shops she goes to. Love her videos as well. I don't think I've ever talked about Colleen from Books the House Down, but I think she started her booktube around the same time that I did. She's also a Libra, and I feel like we're very similar, and I just love her vibe. So she's someone I really love. Someone else that I really like watching is Angie from Maybe I'll Read Today, and I just really love their content and their videos. They do a mix of like reading vlogs, wrap-ups, and also like crochet knitting content, which I think is really fun. I love seeing what they create, so I really love their channel as well. And who else? Okay, Yenna from Modern Ajuma. Love her wrap-ups, love hearing her thoughts on books. So she's someone that I really love, and I think she's so funny. She cracks me up. Someone else is Nathan from Nathan's Nook. The quality of his vlogs are so good, and he just like does like such fun intros, and just the way he styles his videos, like you can tell that there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and I can only imagine like the amount of time it takes. So like it is art. Someone else that I recently came across is Paperbacks and Daisies, and I just love their reading vlogs. I think they try and do like weekly reading vlogs, and they're just really soothing to me, and she just seems really, really sweet. Another channel is Super Blomper, Sam. I fully read Open Throat because of them, and I will forever be grateful because I really, really love that book. And I really love hearing just like Sam's thoughts on books. I feel like they do a really great job of like wrapping up a book. And I mean, the fact that they got me to pick up Open Throat when it wasn't on my radar at all, like they really sold it to me. So I recommend Super Blomper, and also Ray from What Ray Reads. I love Ray's vlogs so much. Like she'll do, I don't know that it's weekly, but whenever I see that she made a vlog, like I'm so hyped. Also, lots of skincare recommendations. I love that Ray is also like trying a lot more K-beauty like skincare, because I have been too, and the recommendations have just been so good. And Erin from Erin Honey, love the vibe, love their energy so much. And they also talk about video games, so they've also given me book and video game recommendations. So if you like video games as well, like cozy games, I also recommend their channel. Someone else is Shuba from Shuba Reads Books. Love her channel. Love how cozy her vlogs are. If you love reading vlogs, I highly recommend her channel. She also does like reading wrap-ups as well, and her like space just looks so cute. She has like the coziest chair as well, and just like I love the decor and seeing like what's behind her. So love her channel as well. And the last and final person that I'll mention is Taylor from Taylor Tippett, and we don't necessarily have like the same taste in books, but I just love watching her vlog content so much. She'll do a bunch of different vlogs, like she'll do like a reading vlog where she's reading specific things. She might just do like a weekly vlog, or she'll do like a travel vlog because she's also a flight attendant. So it's so fun like watching her go be in different destinations and like go to coffee shops and bookstores. And I just like love her energy in general. Like she just is so fun to watch. I really enjoy watching her videos. Every time she posts, I'm like immediately clicking and watching. So yeah, those are all the people I want to mention. I feel like I probably missed other people that I love to watch. I hope I didn't. If I did, I'll link them down below just to make sure I include them. And I hope that you found some new people to watch. Also on that note, please let me know who your favorite booktubers are, because I am always looking for new people to watch and to add to my subscription list. So if you have a favorite booktuber, feel free to shout them down below. No, shout them out below. Feel free to give them a shout out down below. But yeah, that is all I have for today. That is the mid-year freakout tag. It was a fun way to check in and see where I'm at with my stats, but also go through these questions and kind of talk about some favorites and maybe some books that I haven't talked about on my channel yet because I haven't wrapped them up yet, but that will be soon. Feel free to drop down like where you're at this year, what your favorite book of this year has been so far, any books that you're anticipating, maybe leave a book that was a huge disappointment for you this year. Feel free to answer some of these questions down below. I'd love to read what your answers are and chat about it. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one.